These are the steps you need to follow to create the project, and the teacher will guide you through each of these step by step. Though if you wish to go ahead and follow them yourself, that's no problem. You will normally be working with two tabs, one tab for the instructions and one tab for creating the code and your project. When you have completed a step, come back to the instructions tab and click on this green done button. You get an award and learning points for each step you complete. Under the video box, you will see what step the teacher is currently on. Under that, you will see the chat feed. The chat feed shows you how everyone is doing, and you can put your own entries into it by clicking on the blue chat button and entering your question or message. Or you can give a quick thumbs up or down, or even put in emoji.
Hello everyone, this is Radhika from Coding Ireland. Welcome to today's live class. So today we are back with Microsoft MakeCode, which is a level up to Scratch. So everybody who's not familiar with Microsoft MakeCode, it's similar to Scratch. It's just that you also have JavaScript along with coding blocks, and it's one step ahead advance of Scratch. Okay, so don't worry, we are gonna go through it, and it's used to make arcade games and video games which you can download to your devices. So while we wait everyone to join in, we have 4 people in here right now. I'm going to show you what we're going to make today. So we're going to make a fruit collector challenge, and I'll show you how the game looks like. Okay, so here's your character, which is this sprite in green, and there are strawberries falling from the sky. The goal of the game is to move the sprite left and right with your keyboard keys and collect these strawberries to gain a point that you can see on the top right corner. If you hit the rock which falls, then accidentally you lose a life, and we also add some camera shake effects, and we display your final score. Now, if you see, this resembles like a video game hardware device, which I'm sure many of you must have played at your homes. So when you download this game in your device, and I'll show you how at the end of the game, you can actually play your game, with that physical device using the keypads of the device. So let's get started, and let's see how many people we have. All right. So a couple of instructions. You can always use the live video controls to go back, rewind into the lesson if you are not able to keep up with me. And you can also use the chat option to send in your doubts in the chat portal. And also you can use the react buttons to let me know how you feel through each step. All right, guys. So let's get started. And okay, so the first step is we have to create a new project in MakeCode Arcade. So just click on the link given to you guys, and from over here the website will open, and you just have to click on new project. Give your project a name. I'm gonna call it the fruit collector, and create. So let me give you a slight overview of the MakeCode. If for all those of you who are unfamiliar with it, we have same color coded blocks over here. We're not going to use JavaScript as of yet. We're going to use blocks, and just like Scratch, we have sprites over here as well that we can create or use the ones that MakeCode provides us. Everything that's related to sprites is in the sprite section. Then we have a controller in orange, which deals with player actions like pressing the buttons or moving your sprite, controlling your sprite. And similarly, you have the game actions in the game section. For example, what do you want to do when the game is over, or what do you want to do if you want to display any dialog boxes, and so on. So, not to overwhelm you guys, you will get the hang of these as and when you make more and more projects. One very cool feature is this search that I'm going to show you, which becomes very handy when we code. All right. So by default, we get an on start block, which means that it's kind of like what happens when you click the green flag in Scratch. Okay. So automatically, whenever you run your code in MakeCode, anything that you put inside on start will run first. Okay, guys. So with that, I'm gonna just mark step one is done, and it's autumn series, so we get a leaf maple. How many of you have had maple syrup? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so step number two now is to create the character. So our main character is this sprite over here, which is going to collect the fruits. So what we're going to do is we are going to create our own sprite. So go to the sprite section. Under the create, choose set my sprite. Now guys, when you just put your cursor on the block, you will see a small description which says sets this variable to be equal to the input. So basically what that means is that we have a variable called my sprite, just like you had variables in Scratch. Similarly, the sprites that we create in MakeCode will also have a name associated with it, which would be the variable name basically. So I'm gonna name my player as my sprite. You can also use a new name if you want. And we are setting this sprite variable to this sprite. So we we will this is basically a placeholder, and we are going to click on that and go over to the gallery, and you can basically choose your own player. If you do not want to create one, you can choose anything. So for example, you can also use the filter block and choose people, and then you can choose any player which will collect the strawberries. But as of now, I'm going to create my own sprite. So we went to editor, and I'm going to try and create a replica of the same sprite. So, okay, so we have like a green face and yellow eyes. So, okay, let's try, guys. So, we have this. Feel free to choose your own colors. Be creative. I'm just gonna fill it with green. Okay, now for the eyes, going to yellow, creating the eyes. And okay, how about okay, so that's the mouth, and just like tongue is sticking out. Okay, so when I click on done over here, you can see that the image that I just drew, the sprite, will come over here in this placeholder section, and also automatically come on the Microsoft bit device. So this is like your stage area. Okay, so they've shown you a simulator of the device, and by default this comes at the center of the screen. Okay, so just to reiterate, we are setting our my sprite to this image, and in MakeCode the sprites are of different kinds. All right, so if you just if you just open this section, it says the sprite can be of kind player, projectile, food, enemy. So I'm just going to give you a 1 minute review of what these kinds are. Now, the player is your main character. In this case, this sprite, which is going to collect the fruits. Okay. Uh, Food and enemies are like positive and negative things in the game. So in this case, strawberries is going to be the food. It's like something that you can use as a positive influence in the game. Okay, and the rocks in the game which fall and cause a destruction of our life is like an enemy of the game, enemy of the player. So it's like food are nice, are friends of the player, and enemies are of course enemies of the player. And projectile are special kinds of sprites which will move. I'm going to show that to you later on. Okay, so we've just done this, and the sprite comes at the center of the screen. You can also just do this full screen and see that the sprite has come on the center of the screen. So that's it, and we are done with step number 2. So we have 6 people with us as of now, and we get the cloud, sun and rain spring series. Let me just go over to the chat section and see if we have any doubts as of yet. Welcome Sasha, welcome Purple Leopard 2, good to see you guys. Okay guys, you can just scroll back, rewind in the live section, in the live video, and catch up with the things that we've done till now. But I can see that both my coders have done both the steps. Okay, so now I'm going to go to step number 3. Step number 3 is setting the player controls. So we have the sprite already at the center. Now the next step would be to move the sprite horizontally using your arrow keys, and also to position the sprite at the center, at the bottom of the screen, because the fruits will be falling from the sky, and we want this to position itself to the bottom of the screen. So that is what we're going to do. Now we are going to use this section of code, guys. We already have set the sprite. Now we're going to move the sprite. You can see, just notice the color scheme that we are doing. Everything related to sprite is blue. The movement is in orange. So you can see that it's in the controller. So you can also do things like, if I say move my sprite with buttons, you can just type move in the search section, and I told you that it comes in very, very handy. All the blocks, all the coding blocks which involve the move command somehow would just filter out. So you don't have to search through um, the coding sections. So just drag this out, move my sprite with buttons, click over this plus. Now, what this does is that Vx and Vy means velocity along the x-axis and velocity along the y-axis. Now, velocity means speed, and x-axis means the horizontal speed, basically this one. And vertical axis, the y-axis, is this one. All right. So we do not want our sprite to move up and down. And you can see the joystick keys when I go up and down. So basically, when you are playing this on an actual device, you can just press these buttons on the device to move your sprite in various directions. So I'm just gonna, we want the sprite to move only horizontally. So what I'll do is I'll set the vertical section of my velocity or my speed to be 0. Now I can only move my sprite in the horizontal direction. And when I try to move it vertically, you can see these buttons are blinking. My sprite does not move. Right? So that's done. The second part of the step is that we also want to position the sprite to the bottom of the screen. To do that, guys, we have to go to the sprite section, and we use some physics over here. Okay, physics is a branch of science that deals with the speeds and positions, all right, and all those dynamics. So just your set sprite x. Okay, now choose that and say set my sprites x to 0. Now guys, one thing I want to tell you about um, the coordinates, it's a little different from scratch. So this screen is 160 in width and 120 in height. Okay, so if I say set my sprite x and y to 0 0, so 0 0 is this corner, the top left corner. If I set my x to 160, you would see that 160 is the extreme right corner, which is the whole width of the screen. And if I set my y to 120, you would see that this is the whole height of the screen. Okay, so I am not bothered with x. So I'm just going to remove this x part. I am only bothered with y. Okay, so you see that automatically this comes in the center. And so we are not going to say 120, we're going to say like 110, so that it comes a little bit ahead up. If I go all the way to 0, it's going to come in the center of the screen, because by default the x is set to be the center of the screen, which is about 80, because this whole thing was 160, so half becomes 80. Okay, if you want to change the default positions, you use the set xy blocks. So so see, if I say 60, the code auto refreshes and it comes over here. And I say, okay, set it to 110, because this looks like a good thing where my sprite can move horizontally, not vertically, and it looks perfect now. Okay, so with that, we complete step number 3. And let me see if we have any doubts. No. Cool. So we're done with step number 3, and I don't know why it's not clicking done. Let me try and refresh it. Oh, what just happened? It says there is some error. Okay, let me just see, guys. I think there is some problem. Okay, the internet is fine. There's some problem with Coding Ireland's platform. I'm gonna try it out again. Okay, guys, just give me 1 minute. I'll be back. Okay, guys, I'm back. Okay, so everything is good in the universe, and yeah, so we are good. All right, so we were on step number 3, and we were done with it. And in the science series, we get DNA. Okay, guys, how many of you are familiar with what is DNA? Just type a yes or no in the comment section so I would know how many of you are science geeks. Okay, so step number 4 is now to create these falling fruits. So, guys, in this game, we would code it so that every 2 seconds we have uh, a strawberry falling from the sky. And what we would do is the strawberries would come from the top section, from the so basically the strawberries would come from somewhere here at the top of the screen. So basically the y would be 0, right? Because we need them to be positioned over here. And every 2 seconds a strawberry would fall down, and when it hits the bottom of the screen it needs to go away. As you can see, it just goes away. Okay. And also the other thing that we need to know is that the strawberry will also randomly appear. As you can see over here, it's randomly appearing from anywhere across the width of the screen. Okay, so that is what we are gonna do now. So okay, so choose in the controller section, sorry, in the game section, go to game section and say on game update every 500 millisecond. Choose the 500 millisecond and choose 2 seconds. So that means this is another script. This purple section means that the game will refresh every 2 seconds, and on that refresh, what do you want to do? So we want to make a strawberry fall through the sky. So we are going to make a sprite, and we're going to make a projectile sprite. So just type projectile and you will see the projectile coding block. Drag out the first one which says set projectile to this particular projectile with a velocity vx and vy. Now guys, projectiles, this is also a variable name. You can see now we have one my sprite, which is your player, and the second variable is a projectile sprite. This is a special kind of sprite which is capable of destroying itself when it is no longer visible in the screen area. Okay, and these are also called motion sprites. So as you saw that they already come with the velocity vx and vy buttons, unlike the usual sprite. Okay, so this is the kind of projectile. Now we are going to click over here, go to gallery, and we are just going to choose the strawberry and click on done. So you will see again the strawberry sprite. uh, it's this motion is because the velocity vx and vy both are 50. Now since we just want them to move along the vertical direction, we will say vx is 0, and you can see that automatically every 2 seconds, guys, we have one strawberry falling from the sky with vy 50, with velocity 50. So you can play around with the velocities, and if I say hey, I want the velocity to be 10, you will see the speed is slower, and after every 2 seconds we have a strawberry. You can also play around with the timers over here, and you can see now if I say every 5 seconds, a new strawberry is coming every 5 seconds. Okay, so whenever you make codes, just play around with these values and see how it reflects in your code in order to have a better understanding of coding. So I'm just going to go back and select 2 seconds and select my velocity to be 50, which is kind of perfect. Now I also don't want them to just come from the corner. Now see, it's coming from the corner because vx is 0. That means velocity along the x-axis is 0, and since it's 0, it's coming at the corner. Okay, so how do we set the x positions now? So to set the x positions, again we go to projectile, and that's kind of easy actually. You can just say okay, you can again go back over here, set my sprite, the same thing that we use with the sprite, your player sprite, and now choose the projectile sprite. So set the projectile's x We only want to set the x component because that is the horizontal component, and the horizontal component means the strawberries can horizontally be placed anywhere across the entire width of the screen. Okay, so I'm going to choose a random block which will ideally come in the maths section. I'm going to show you in maths you have a random section, say pick random. So if I say pick random from 0 to 10, you can see every strawberry is at a random position from 0 to 10. If I say, okay, 0 to 50, you will see every 2 seconds the strawberry is coming at any random x position from 0 to 50. Now, I told you that the screen size is 160 horizontally, so you can write 0 to 160, but it's always better to not hard code the screen values and use a variable. Go to variable section. Okay, sorry, not variable. In the sprite section, you would have something called screen width, which will automatically set the width of the screen. Uh, okay, see, I cannot find it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to search for screen width. Okay, see, this is the screen width variable. And I'm just going to say pick random from 0 to screen width. This screen width would automatically store the value of the width of whatever screen you're using. Guys, now maybe your physical device is of 160 pixels, it's of 100, it's of 200, we never know. All right, so it's better to just use the variable screen width, which will handle your dynamic screen width. Okay, so we are going from 0 to the entire width of the screen. In this case it's 160, and you can see every 2 seconds the strawberries are falling randomly. The last step that we had to do is set the kind of the sprite. So we told that this projectile is of kind, okay, that's not how we set it. We set the projectile. Okay, 1 second. Okay, there is a simple see. Now it can get a little bit confusing. So you just basically wanted to set it to kind of food, and I was trying to set it through this way, but we already have created the image. So you can just search for the word kind because I wanted to set it to kind food, and see, I suddenly get a list of blocks, and you can say, okay, this is the one we want. Set my sprite kind. Your sprite is projectile and kind of food. So I told you food are the friends of your main player, and anytime that you touch the strawberry, we are gonna gain a point, which we will do in the next section. So with that, we do step number 4. And in summer series, we get a citrus glass fruit. All right, let me just go over to the comment section and see if we have any doubts. All right, so we are good to go. All right, now that we have created the food section, now we will create the enemy section, which is very similar, except that instead of every 2 seconds, the rock is falling every 5 seconds. So the game update changes to 5 seconds, and we are going to give it a new variable name, and we're going to draw our own projectile rock, and we just set it to the kind of enemy. So everything is same except a few things. What you can do is just right click on the section and duplicate this entire block and make the changes to 5 seconds. And you're going to set, now we're going to give it a new name. We can't just call it projectile, it's just a name. Okay guys, so the actual projectile is set with this blue coding block which says projectile strawberry. Right, so basically it's not a strawberry, it's going to be a rock. But firstly we're going to give it a new name, and we'll call it rock. Set rock to, click over here on the strawberry. I'm just gonna erase it. So this is the eraser. You can make it bigger from here. This is the eraser, the second one. Make it bigger and just erase this off. And then go back to the pen and create your rock. I'm gonna choose a smaller pixel. And okay, so feel free again to choose colors of your choice, guys. It's all about creativity. Again, going to a smaller pixel and just throwing in some uh, random thing so it looks like a rock. So again, this goes same. The projectile has no horizontal motion, so it's 0. Vertically, it's falling down at a speed of 50. Now set this rock's X position again to random from 0 to screen width, and we're going to set the rock to the kind of enemy. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, looks good. Every 5 seconds we have a rock. Nothing is happening as of yet when I touch these. We will code that in the next steps. And you will see in the next step how the categorization of a sprite to food and enemy and player will help us in the next steps. With that, we complete step number 5. And we get a uniform martial arts. This is so popular that students are learning martial arts. How many of you uh, have done martial arts? Let me know in the comment section. So, all right. So now we have created the rock sprite, the strawberry sprites, and now we go ahead and sorry, what just happened? Okay. Now we go ahead and create lives. So you saw that we have three lives in the beginning of the game. If you remember, if I showed you in the beginning of the class. So the lives are there in the info section, and you can see under the life we have set life to 3. If you forget where to look for lives, you can always just search and you will get it over here. So when I say set life to 3, and guys, we set this in the on start section because these are the kind of things that need to be set in the beginning of the game. So that is why we say on start, just put it below and say set life to 3, and you will see that lives are automatically denoted by hearts. So you have 3 lives. If I say 5, you will have 5 hearts. And it says heart into 5. Now it says cross 5 because your whole screen would fill with just 5 hearts. So that's why when it goes above 3 or I think 4, it just says heart cross the number of lives that you've put. So I'm just going to go back to 3, and that's it. So Sasha says that I do karate. That's amazing, Sasha. So you have learned some self-defense skills in there, right? That's amazing. You should continue that. It's important, and I think it just makes you stronger. Well done. Okay, and in the vehicle series, we get a helicopter. Okay, so there is another question for you guys. I am about to ride a helicopter soon. How many of you have ridden a helicopter, and which one do you find better, a helicopter or an airplane? Again, let me know in the comment section. So, step number 7 is now we have to detect the collisions with the fruit. So, over here, you will see how we use the food sprite. So, guys, when one sprite overlaps with another sprite, we have something called an overlap coding block in the sprite section, and it's in the overlaps section. And choose the first one. It says on sprite, now just listen carefully, it on sprite of kind player overlaps other sprite of kind player. Now what it's doing is basically we are creating two variables. One is sprite and one is other sprite. Okay, you can also call it variable 1, variable 2, player 1, player 2, whatever. So these are just names, and we are going to give these variable names a particular sprite. So when the variable sprite, which is of kind player, which is your actual green player, overlaps with another sprite of kind food. So basically, we're saying when the green player overlaps with strawberry, and strawberry is being denoted by the variable called other sprite, and the player is being denoted with the variable sprite. Okay, then what do we want to do? We want to increase the score by 1. So where is the score, guys? It's again in the info section under the score. You say change score by 1. So let's try it out. See. Now, what is happening if you guys see the score just goes up by so many numbers but not 1. Okay, and this is because the moment we touch the strawberry, you can see we are touching the strawberry for like a good 2 seconds, right? And during those 2 seconds, the score keeps on increasing by 1. Okay, because it really happens like really quickly. Okay, so what we want to do is that the moment we touch the strawberry, we want the strawberry to get destroyed. That means it should just vanish from the screen. Okay, and then we increase 1 point so that we are not touching the strawberry for a longer duration. Otherwise, for all the while that the player is touching the strawberry, the points just keep on increasing because in that duration it's overlapping, and we are saying that when it overlaps, change the score. Okay, so first of all, we're going to destroy. So let's just search for destroy, and it says, okay, destroy my sprite. Okay, so choose this and say destroy, which is the sprite that you want to destroy. You want to destroy the other sprite, which is your strawberry. So just click here, and you will get it and put it over here. You can replace it with the default variable. So it says destroy other sprite, and you can have some effects over here which we do not want. You can just say destroy the spread. Okay, and then change the score by 1. So let's see, let's refresh. So now let's see, as soon as we touch the strawberry, it vanishes, so we do not have a longer overlap duration, and the instant it vanishes, we just increase the score by 1. Okay, guys, we can also add some effects. I'm going to show you the effect with the rock, and you can add the one with strawberry later on your own. So with that, we are done with step number 7. And in the vehicle series, we get a car. Let me just give you guys few moments to complete this. Okay, so Sasha has done step number 7. Purple Leopard 2 in step number 6. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you a minute to just cope up, and then we will go with step number 8. Okay, so let's move to step number 8. Now we have to detect the collision with rock. Now, guys, it's everything is the same except that we are using an additional effect to show that we've collided with a rock, and also we are gonna decrease a life. So let's see. You can just duplicate this section, but now on sprite of kind player, overlaps with other sprite. What just happened? Okay, okay. Overlaps with other sprite of kind enemy. Okay, now since we're dealing with the rock, we say when the player overlaps with enemy, yes, we want to destroy this with an effect. Okay, let me just show you. Let's use a fire effect, and you'll see how it looks like. Remove the change score. I'm just going to show you the effect. Okay, see. So you saw some fire rings came out of the rock. Okay. Oh, sorry. It was rings. I actually needed to use fire. That's what I was wondering. Why are rings coming out? Okay. Yeah. So you see, it gives you the idea that ashes are coming out of it, fire is coming out of it. You can experiment with different effects. Even spray would work. Fire would work. Ashes would also work. Disintegrate. Let's see how that looks like. Uh, Disintegrate means breaking off. Yeah, but disintegrate doesn't make sense because we're not actually breaking the rock. Uh, Rather, the rock is breaking us. So I'm going to go back to fire. And then we're going to decrease a life. So go to the info section in life. You say change life by -1. And now you can see that, see, the life went by down by 1. Okay. The other thing that we're going to add is a camera action. So search for camera, and you can see the camera shakes. It's a gray shade, and it's there in the scene. Scene is gray, so you can also map them using colors. So you can also search the camera actions over here. So guys, choose the second block which says camera shake. Now, camera shake means it's gonna give you an idea that hey, we've hit a rock and we're just shaking like that. Okay, and 4 pixels, you can just it's the amplitude of the shaking. I'm gonna show you. 500 millisecond means half a second. So let's see how that looks like. So okay, we are gonna shake for half a second, and the amplitude is 4. So if I increase the amplitude, you're gonna see that it looks the intensity looks higher. See, now it looks like a bigger action took place, right? So I'm just gonna go back to 4. It was just to show you guys. Okay, and we are done with step number 8 as well. Marking that as done. Okay, so Sasha has a doubt over here. Let me see. In other series, we get a map. These days, we only use Google Maps. Back in the day, people used physical maps, which were much tougher, guys. Okay, so let me just go back to Sasha for a minute. For some reason, my strawberries do not disappear and I don't get the point. Okay, so Sasha, I am assuming that you are talking about step number 7. So, it's working now? Okay, that's great. Are you sure, Sasha? Okay, if you have any doubt, just you can just send me a chat message again and I'll look back at you. All right, so coming back to step number 9, we have the last step, that is the end game scenario. Now, guys, whenever your lives end, you would automatically get a message. Let's see what happens right now when the game ends. I am deliberately hitting the rocks. Okay, and it says game over, and it says score is 2. And A means if you press this physical A button, the game will reset, or if you press the space button on your keyboard, the game would restart. Okay, but what we want now, so although it automatically says the game is over, but we can choose how we want to show that error message. Okay, so there is something on live 0. and let's see what it does. So on life 0, that means whenever your life reaches 0, automatically this script will get triggered. It's like an event, and this event will get triggered. You can see over here, run code when the player's life reaches 0. Okay, so we say when it reaches 0, go to game and just do a game over for us. Toggle this and say you lose. Okay, let's see how this looks any different now. I'm going to refresh it, deliberately trying to hit the rocks, also trying to make a high score. Okay. So guys, I don't know if you can hear it out, but I just got like a losing sound effect. Apart from the message is the same, it says game over, it displays our score and everything, but I also got like a sad sound effect. Okay, so you can test it out on your screens, and that's it. So we are done with this um, fruit collector game, and I'm going to show you now the next step how you can download your code. Now, I'm assuming that you don't have it with you right now, but so it's difficult to actually show it, but I'm going to go over these steps. So, see guys, okay, first let me just mark this as done. Okay. And I get in the emoji series, I got a face cowboy hat. That's cute. Okay, now guys, this is working on your laptops, but as I said, you can download this code into a physical device and then play it with these buttons. To do that, the first thing that you have to do is type your project name. Uh, if you're not familiar with how these devices look like, I can show you actually make code devices, and they look like this. See, so you can purchase them off Amazon. Okay, if you want to have like a great experience playing these. All right, so okay, so the first thing that you do is you type your name in the project box that you have over here, and you just save it. Okay, the next thing, you click on download. You download, and then you choose the kind of hardware, that means the physical kit that you have. So meowbit, tinkergen, okay, and then we have adafruit pie badge. So there are so many kinds of devices available. Brainpad arcade is quite popular. You choose it. So for example, if I have this one, I will click on that, and your code would be downloaded on your laptop as a .uf2 file. As you can see, I'm going to show you. Okay, okay, I'm sorry guys, can't really display that. So basically it downloads as a file on your laptop. Okay, now with a physical cable device, you just connect your laptop and your hardware with a USB cable, and then you can send this file. Right. So once you connect it, you can right click on the file and you can say send to, and it will automatically send that file to your hardware device. So you would be able to do that very easily, just following these steps, uh, which are mentioned in step number 10. Let's see it. So in this example, we actually have a device, and you can see this green section is actually sending the file to the device. Uh, yeah, so trust me, it's very easy. Just purchase a device if you don't have one. Of course, consult with your parents, and try out step number 10. It's a lot of fun, guys. So we get a kite in the autumn series, And hey, you know what? So today is an Indian festival of Makar Sankranti, Vasant Panchami, basically. It's called, and it's the festival of kites. So people actually fly kites on this festival. So it's quite a coincidence. So, all right. So now we're done with our game, and step number 11 is the challenge step. Now, challenge step is for you to enhance the game, make it more challenging and more interesting. So there are a couple of there are four suggestions that you have. So you can add more types of fruits. So over here, what you can do is you can add different kinds of fruits. You can just you can duplicate this code on a bit every 2 seconds, and you can set a different projectile, a different fruit. Okay, you can move it with different speeds. You can change the score for different fruits. So let's say strawberry, you get 1 point, and if you, let's say you choose another fruit, let's say you have a watermelon, you can say, hey, you get 5 points for watermelon, and you can make the speed of watermelon faster. Okay, so you can play around with speeds. You can assign different speeds, the different VY velocities to different fruits, and the one with faster velocities, you can have more points, right? Other things that you can do is similarly, you can add different types of rocks, okay? And you can add different kinds of shaking intensities to the rocks. So you can change them in size, your rocks, and you can say, okay, smaller rocks would have a camera shake of a smaller amplitude, and bigger rocks would, you can change the amplitude. So you can play around with those effects. Speed, we've already discussed. You can add levels to your game. So how you add levels to your game, there's something called a reset game. Okay, so you can play you can just experiment with that. You can add levels 1 2 3, where each level becomes more complicated in terms of speed and the number of rocks that fall down. So for example, right now we have a rock falling every 5 seconds, but in higher levels you can have rocks falling every second or even every half a second, right? You can experiment with sounds as well in the music section. Okay, so yeah, that's that. There is basically no end to creativity and no end to how challenging and how exciting you can make a game. So Sasha over here has shared her project with me. That's great. Let me view your project, Sasha. Oh, that's great. So you've used a very unique player. Very nice. I especially like your rock. It looks really realistic. That's nice. Okay, I see that when I hit the rock though, the lives are not decreasing. Okay, so let me see the code. So that's perfect. That is also perfect. That is also perfect. Okay, so Sasha, you are changing the score by -1 when you uh, collide with the enemy. What we want is we want to change the life by -1, but this is something that you can do as an additional step. So we are changing the life by 1, all right? Yeah, but you can also additionally change the score by -1 if you want to make it even more challenging. But apart from that, just make this small change and you're good to go, and well done on the project. Very happy about it. Okay, guys, anybody else who wants to share their project with me can share it in the project section, or you guys can also just click on share your project and click the share link in your Microsoft MakeCode. Click on share project, and you will get this link. Copy it, and okay, all right, that's from the, once you click share your project, submit your project, give it a name. So let's say I say fruit collector. You can write the description and just paste it and share my project. So that ways your project gets submitted to Codeverse, where everybody in the Codeverse can see it, view it, comment on it, like it, heart it, and stuff. Or if you want to share it with me personally, you can do it here as well. Okay. Sasha is a boy. Oh, okay. I get so confused with your guys' names, guys. I know one Sasha who's a girl, but um, all right, cool. Anyways, regardless, it was a great project, guys. I had a lot of fun. Everybody else also, I encourage you to share your projects, and I'm going to see you next time with a new Make Code project, and we're going to have another fun filled session. Goodbye. Have a good evening. I'm going to see you guys next week. Bye bye.